regular meeting minutes, September 23rd, 2019, July 16th, 2018. I have reviewed those. I would make a motion to accept.
Second?
Call for, any further discussion? Call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Approved executive session minutes for release would be March 14th, 2019, an executive session regarding the fire chief. I would make a motion to accept these. Of the members here, I was the only one in attendance.
Right. I'll second that motion, noting that I was not in attendance, but neither was our new selectman, so.
Right, so I'll make a call to vote, saying aye,
Aye.
and so there we go. So shall be approved to and released. Next item would be public comment. Anybody in the room have public comment? Yes, Mary Jane? Yes, please.
Are there any more of these? I like them. I have 15.
You have 15 of these?
That you gave me. The last time we were here, you gave me.
Okay.
And now you have 16 because I also passed this one in to you.
Okay.
I tried to get some other opinions. I got 70
Okay.
to go with the 15 in my one. So there is somebody that disagrees with this idea that we have going on down here. So, with some of the comments, I saw some of the people. And the major one that owns the basketball group, he believes, and I don't think it's gonna change, he believes that all cars belong in the road. All cars belong in the yard. All cars. And he believes that the children should play in the street. All children should play in the street. We're not gonna come close to that. We're just not gonna come close to that. The children should play in the yard, where they're safe. The hoop could be moved. A fence could be put up. A lot of ideas could be there, but I'm not getting anywhere.
Okay.
That's my,
Did you want us to have copies of those?
you have them, I gave them to you last week. And you.
The package you gave me had all of the 70
You
or...
didn't see the package. Sorry, you didn't see the package.
I have not had a chance to go through the whole package. I was just trying to make sure I understood what you just said you had is what you gave us.
Oh,
And all you gotta do is say yes or no.
Yes, I gave you the 70, and I thought that they would be distributed between the people and this, but I'll come back next week.
I will make sure that copies will be given to everybody up here. I apologize that we didn't get to it since the last meeting.
Mary Jane, you're doing good.
Not hardly.
You're doing good.
I haven't begun.
Yes, sir.
One of the last meetings, you said that you were gonna reach out on your own to get this thing.
When my
straight-
knee was in a better situation,
To
yes.
get this thing straightened out, and has anything occurred?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay.
I do still plan on doing it. I haven't given up. I just haven't been able to accomplish anything since the last meeting.
When I've been hearing all about this basketball thing, I've made a note on some of the papers that Mary Ann had passed out, Mary Jane had passed out. I wrote on it, it's a lot easier to move a basketball hoop than it is to a neighborhood. So it was just a note that I thought it was an interesting saying. That's all.
The neighborhood likes a basketball hoop, that's all the letters we got before, from all the people that live in and around that neighborhood and on that street.
Yeah, but-
I will review it all and
but
do the
there's a
best I
There's a
can.
problem someplace, we don't know what it is.
The problem is just neighbors finding a way to find a balance, and I'm not saying that it's something that they're gonna solve by themselves or bridge the gap based on the history that's been developed. But I think we've reached a certain point where I don't know what town government can do about it. It's been presented to the town in various different ways to request bylaws.
And she's doing a good job.
And the town has voted no on everything that's been presented in, I think, the last 3 town meetings, whether it was annual or special. She's had something on the warrant.
Yeah.
The town does not want the government to be involved in this particular case. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the voice we've heard when it's been put to the town for a vote. So we're still trying, but there's only so much we can do. And we gotta be careful with how much we ask the government to get involved with our relationship with our neighbors, because eventually, the government will be there and you don't want them anymore.
It depends who owns it.
I'm just saying, we gotta be careful with what we're asking.
It depends who owns this thing. Is it owned by the town, or is it owned by Mary Jane, or is it owned by someone else? Is it owned by the Public Works Department? Who owns it?
The town owns the road,
No, but who owns this hoop that's been an issue?
private citizen. It's not a town hoop that's sitting in somebody's
So
driveway.
if it's a private citizen, then I guess they should put it on their own property.
How do you know they didn't?
I don't know where it is, but Mary Jane seems to think it's on her property. I don't know where it is.
No, she's never once said that the hoop is on her property. She said it's across the street from her property, and invariably the play brings the ball to her yard because it bounces off or whatever. Am I correct in what you've been presenting? I'm not misinforming him based on what I've heard from you, correct?
You're correct.
Okay.
100% of the game is played in the road. That's where they want it, in the road.
Understood.
It is on their property. The man believed he was having a good time when he was a child, and he wants it there. He accepted it. There's no place to put it. He feels there's no place to put it but in front of my home.
Okay,
I have another comment.
go ahead.
1,000 feet from the non-A to the High Plains, you have Pine Tree Terrace, you have non-A Park, and you have Trafalgar. It's the same distance, 1,000 feet. We walked to school 5 days a week that way. The town made us walk. There were no buses. Now, why can't they walk to the recreation park? The recreation park is different than the music park, or whatever you want to call it down there.
Mm-hmm.
To put a slide and to put swings down there. The people on Trafalgar and all the other places that they have children, they have these things in their backyard. I think it would be a waste of taxpayer money to put that down there in the non-A park. And to put all the signage up, and to put up all the sidewalks. It's a waste of money. There are other things that we could be doing. The same distance between all those letters that you received, the trouble with the profanity, the drunkenness, all this stuff. I can add a lot more to that where it's at my house. Then, there should be no balls in the street of Trafalgar. They should all be able to walk to High Plains. It should not be just non-A and just the High Plains and Nelson. Don't erase Trafalgar. They should also, if they want to use the loop, go to High Plains like the other streets.
Okay. Any more comments on this right now? I know I don't have anything to add until I can get a little bit more involved, like I suggested I would. Or said I would. All right, we'll move on. Thank you for taking the time to continue the discussion.
Is there time for more public comment or something else?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. You know, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned the public records, the executive session meetings and the fire chief, because I've been thinking that Chief Rogowski, Joe Rogowski's been a chief most recently for about 45 years. And I know last year and the year before there was some discussions, uncomfortable discussions, but I think that maybe the town should consider, one way or another, maybe link it to the new fire apparatus that we're getting, but give him some recognition for his 45 years of service, however many years of service. 'Cause I remember he was beginning when I had brown hair.
My opinion.
And I moved into town, and
It's gonna matter or not matter.
Excuse me, he's talking.
And I don't know whether the selectmen want to discuss it now, just generally, or whether they want to put on the agenda some method or some discussion about how we would recognize his 45 years of service, however you do it, but I think that would be an important, and I hope that my input stems further discussion.
Okay.
That's my input. So,
No, I appreciate it.
yeah, so hopefully we'll follow through. We'll let this seed germinate a little bit and work towards an end. And
I
we should
agree
do
with
this-
you on
we should
finding
do this
the
for
appropriate way to show him the respect that I
Yeah,
think the town
We should do this
deserves.
for all the people who work their hearts out for the town. I mean, we need to respect the people who go out of their way for the town,
I agree.
Few have,
especially the ones that stay in the town. Maybe the ones who use the town as a jumping off point, we need to say thank you, but they didn't stay with the town, so.
I understand your
So
point.
Joe Rogowski clearly stayed.
Yes, he did. And
Right.
we are the
few have
better
that
for
many
it.
years.
Excuse me?
Few have that many years of
Yeah,
service to
yeah.
the town.
Yeah, you're right. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you bringing up the point. Maybe we should add that to the next meeting's agenda just briefly, and we can do some other talks, because I do believe there are other avenues we might want to pursue. Not in a negative way, I'm not saying delay it just for the sake, but I know other things are coming up on the docket that might actually provide a better way of showing our gratitude and appreciation for his time with the town. But I would like to at least put it on the agenda for the next meeting, so we can at least have Dylan involved, and we can just say this is something we do think would be nice to look into.
Oh, well, I can let you guys know that the truck was actually named after Joe. There's actually writing on the driver door that says Mighty Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody was thinking of exactly what you thought.
The committee wanted that dedication made, they
What
didn't
do
want
they
him
say?
to know, so he
What do they
picked it
say?
up and threw it back.
Great minds think alike?
There's going to be more formal presentation of it at the hopefully the dedication on the 21st. So.
Perfect. Like minds, like you said. Thanks
I
again.
agree wholeheartedly to the extent that I can without voting on any of those issues, being the current fire chief's son and such not. The ethics would say I shouldn't have a say in it, so I can't.
No, when it comes to appreciating someone's value to the town, I don't think there's a conflict,
I
because
would
you're not
hope-
making
I
any
would-
financial or any type of.
I would hope not, but
I think if anybody tried to play that game, then they're just
I
trying to
agree
be.
wholeheartedly that something should be done for the man, and that he should be acknowledged for what he's done, and I've seen more personally and firsthand than most people have of the things that he does and goes out of his way for this town, continually, even to this point, so.
Well, thank you. Any further public comments? We have financial policy procedures as old business. Have you had a chance to review? I believe we made some comments on the first sections, and I'm guessing this was the revised.
Yeah, this is revised, fairly minor stuff on the annual audit. That was basically just to add in the words "if requested by the town"
Yeah.
for the change of the audit managers. Capital planning added in the recommendation of of an appointment of a capital improvements committee that would steer the capital improvements process. And then there weren't any changes for the debt management.
The next three, I would like to just table financial reserves, forecasting, and investments. We can take some time to review it, give Dylan a chance to get on top of that, and then we can meet up again in the
Yeah,
next
and when
meeting.
Dylan's here as well, so it's not just two.
Do you think we should hold off on voting on the other three?
I don't, I think the three we've done, we've already had the input. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of changes, you know.
Yeah, like he said, I think it was one or
Right.
two per the first two, and the other one was
Right.
just good.
The last one, I had clarification questions during it, but that was clarified during the discussion. I'm comfortable voting on those three.
Okay. Make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the annual audit, capital planning, and debt management portions of this policy, as they are amended.
I second that. Any further discussion? Call for vote?
Aye.
Aye. So just tabling the special events bylaw? We can get into more discussions and drafts, et cetera.
Is there anything new on it?
I don't think there's new
Look at nothing
information
changed.
yet.
No, and I haven't received any comment to any of the departments or the public. It's available on the website for anybody to view, and I haven't received any comment yet as far as any.
Phil didn't come back with any comments or anything yet, or?
I haven't heard that, no.
Okay, well, they've been busy, I'm sure. but-
Okay. Moving on to new business. We have, what is the number of
What?
fire station committee appointment applications?
So applications, we have
14 or 15 for a 9-member? Is that what we determined? Or 7?
7. It was
So 14.
3 members of the fire department, 4 members at large with the fire chief.
Oh, yeah, we said chief
Yep.
plus 2, and then
Yep.
4 was 7.
Yep.
Because we don't have a full board, because you're in your spot where you're in, you're out about what you can or can't do about
I'm just gonna tell you, a
voting.
lot of this breaks down easily for you. Most of these are firefighters.
Right, and
So-
because there's a lot, I'd like everybody to take a chance to breathe, read it, and we'll revisit it the next meeting.
Yeah, and
So you're not sitting here saying, which one do I or do I not want to?
I figured that you'd take these, under advisement at this one, plus they have the in-service training for the new truck tonight, so figure for the next meeting, could have, everybody who's interested can come in, and you guys can ask questions of if you wanna.
Big fire department
Get their,
meeting next week.
get their
2
perspective.
weeks. We'll have a few items on that then.
The
Okay.
first night the truck came to town, we're all just kicking the tires and looking through it, and then we get a fire call for a car accident.
Yeah.
Of course, not with that truck, it's not in service. And then a call came in last night, and they were just finishing putting everything on the truck. I think the truck's fully ready except for radios.
Yep.
So, I haven't asked the chief yet, but I wouldn't doubt it went to the first fire last night.
It was posted on Facebook last night that, today, that they did end up responding to that call.
They christened
So,
it.
yeah.
It was an actual fire, it was a fire on the walls in the house, electrical fire, so it did actually pump, and then I would assume they pumped, didn't water can it, so. There you go. They got the finished putting the equipment on, people are leaving, and they got a call.
So we'll table this
Yep.
for further review and discussion at the next meeting. EBCC license amendment for Red Tomato Pizza. We had a chance to review it. According to Andrew, there was just one behind that one addition
one
to the
page.
application.
And it was, this is just a transfer of ownership?
It's just it's still that same transfer of ownership that this is about the third time that we've had to submit something.
Okay, so they were held up last time, was it with the
Yeah.
issue they discussed on the front here?
Yeah, there was no action taken by the ABCC, so we have to basically just resubmit the application form with that included.
Okay.
With the revised cover sheet signed by you guys.
I make a motion, we approve the licensing certificate here for the Red Tomato Pizza.
I second that. Any further discussion? Call for vote.
All right?
Aye. She has the application for you to sign also.
I have everything right here for you to
All right.
sign.
Just don't let me leave.
Oh, I won't.
I'm sure.
Use of town building?
Town hall.
Town hall? Oh, there it is. I didn't recall seeing it. All right. The Berry Historical Society is requesting to use Town Hall on April 26, 2020 at 2 p.m. for a presentation on the Wampanoag people.
Light refreshments? 100
Yes.
people.
Light refreshments, about 100 people are estimated to attend.
Make a motion, we approve the request to use town property with the waiving of the fees for the Historic Society.
I second that motion. Any further discussion? Call for vote.
Aye.
Aye. Next item, approval of Halloween hours.
What did we do last year? We opened it up
5 to
a
8.
half an hour, yeah, an hour, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was half an hour before we started the trick or treat and about half an hour after it ended, so that way.
Yeah, opened it
Decide
up.
if you wanted to go early or later.
The proposed hours are 5
5
PM to 8
I think that
PM.
worked well last year. The 2 hours seems busy and packed, and people rush. Some can make 5, but sometimes getting home from work they don't, and staying till 8 was better. I think it used to be 5:30, 7:30, we bumped it a half an hour in each end is what we did. But I'd make a motion to approve it 5 to 8 again this year,
Okay.
on the 31st.
Second the motion. Any further discussion? I have one question, just to better understand, maybe part of it is me either not remembering, but I also have a feeling a lot of people in town don't understand what it means when Board of Selectmen says the hours of Halloween are 5 to 8. What does that mean? Other than a recommendation that people only plan from 5 to 8 to give out candy? Is there any legal, is there any,
I'm sure, I don't know exactly. I
Okay.
just know that it's probably under your purview to allow it to happen.
I got you. I just think, I found that a lot of towns have started doing this, and it almost seems like it's more of a public announcement to the town to say, this is when everybody's planning on getting together to do things, but I didn't know if there's something that supports the police in saying, all right, it's 8:30, get out of your
Otherwise, it's
costumes
illegal
and stop
harassment.
walking the sidewalks in dark black and say,
Yeah,
I don't know. So I figured I'd ask to see if it actually does something more than a proclamation.
I don't know the legal
I would
standard
doubt
behind
it, I would doubt it does. The chief might know better than us, but I would think it just gives people, everyone wonders what time do you start, what time do you go, and it's sort of, someone makes a decision and says, here's when we'll do it, to kind of unify the event. Otherwise, you're not gonna have people handing out candy from 4 to 10. People kind of have an idea when to be ready and go, but I can't imagine there's a legal side, but maybe there is.
Okay.
If anybody knows, let
It
us
was,
know.
that's why I figured, because I know I've talked to others and I didn't have a good answer if when they ask, so it's like, you know,
Well, and some towns do it different days as well, and it just obviously clarifies the time. You could say, we're gonna wait till Saturday, we're gonna do it Saturday night always, and some towns do that,
yeah.
for whatever the reasons, traffic or school or, work for people. but I've always assumed, and you know, it is when you assume, that it's just to make the proclamation of the time.
Yep.
And that's what I figured I'd ask. Maybe we can get
We're all
past the
aboard as a
assumption.
community, that's when it's gonna happen, so.
So, all right. Any further discussion? Call for a vote?
All right?
Aye. And if you could just follow up with the chief to see if he recognizes if it actually makes a difference legally for anything, or is it just a proclamation?
Okay.
Presume people are walking legally within the roads and obeying other civil rules otherwise.
Probably connected to a blue lot somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. We have an application for someone looking to be appointed to the Age Dementia Friendly Committee. Rory Wagner has requested it. Been a registered nurse for 20-plus years, several years' experience with the elderly. All right.
We have positions available still, I assume?
Yes.
How many do we have left looking for on that committee?
I think we still have 2 more positions. We
Is
had
it
made it like an
started?
11-member board, so.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
I think we
because
said
they had
11
so much
next-
to do, it's like they can literally break up in 2s and 3s and start trying to crank on some of this.
Right, and that was the idea of doing it so big so they could keep portions going. So well, I'd make a motion to approve Rory Wager for the,
Wager, did I say Wagner?
I think it did,
Thanks for fixing that.
for the Age Dementia Friendly Committee.
I second that. Any further discussion? Call for a vote?
All right?
Aye. And I apologize for mispronouncing the name originally.
We're allowed once in a while. Should I butcher it?
Thankfully, otherwise I wouldn't still be sitting here. So, any, you got anything as a selectman report you want to bring up or further?
Just in relation to the bandstand stuff, I did remove the handrail from the right side that's falling apart. It's in my workshop. Probably rebuild most of it. I'm gonna reuse, of course, whatever I can of the good wood pieces, but anything that's rotted, I'll replace and reassemble and reinstall it when the time is right. Most of the other railings just need some sort of sturdying up, resecuring with different screws and the brackets that already exist on them. And I don't see any other real rot that's in place, so this is one that really needs to be repaired. So I wanted to get at that, and I'm still gonna go up there one of these days when I'm not interfering, and I was gonna go up there, but I can do it in my shop now to sample some different paint strippers. The biggest difference in paint strippers is whether there is a base of lead paint or not within that. It's just a different type of stripper. I'd have to use a more aggressive stripper if there's lead paint. Either way, I would plan to encapsulate the bandstand with plastic, so nothing goes out to the environment, everything stays contained. The stripper I'll apply will be scraped off. It'll soak through the paint and scrape off with the paint. Be collected in a trash bag and thrown away. It's simple to use. If there's lead that's a more aggressive stripper, it needs a neutralizing chemical after, which you just spray on and rinse off. But I still-
Coordinate with him because they're looking to get the deck done, and I want to
Right.
make sure
Yeah,
that
it's
you're
gotta
not
be
doing
just-
a stripper that's
No,
going to
no, no.
strip the new
No,
finish
it's
by
gonna be-
accident.
It'll be protected when the deck is done. It just means putting a sheet of plastic down and fully, put a 6 mil plastic down on the whole deck, duct tape down securely, and then everything will fall to that.
Yeah.
But like I said, now that I have the railing in the shop, I'll wait and I'll start trying a couple different strippers. And I'm hoping to use a citrus-based stripper that is very non-toxic, biodegradable. It doesn't hurt your skin or your eyes. You could
I've used
probably,
some-
you
a
could probably
citrus-based
eat it. It
myself
probably wouldn't even
before.
hurt you.
It's going back,
But
it's
it's pretty good through getting a lot of paint. It just doesn't do some of the really, the lead-based paints it won't get. There's a paste stripper I want to try, also very non-toxic, biodegradable, available publicly. And if those don't work, the last one's a commercial contract use only. You can't touch it stuff, but I don't want to use that unless I have to. But I think it's important to remove most of this old paint and get rid of it.
Okay.
So I'm looking towards that, and I'll start working on the handrail and see where it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing cement work get going, which I think we're gonna move with. We'll wait and see what he has for a report.
Wednesday.
Wednesday's start of that work.
That's gonna be the start of that work, yep.
And
Nice.
do we need an official approval for
I'd like to,
that?
formally, I'd like you guys to just make an official vote to,
Oh,
Move
accept
allow
forward
use
with
that
that
loan
contractor.
authorization money.
It was under, let's publicly get this
Yeah.
straight.
Yep. It was
For-
under the $10,000 cost limit, thankfully, just barely, but it did fall under that, so we just fell under best business practice. It is a sole proprietor that's doing the work, so we don't have to worry about the prevailing wage portion. So that's gonna start on Wednesday, and it's gonna involve repinning and repouring stair, so that way the stairs are back functional again, and then putting on an epoxy and waterproofing coating over all the concrete work. So that'll keep it from getting any worse.
And that should take care of the major structures, the stair, the surfaces that are cracked,
Mhm.
should make them look nice, and then, the other things to look at will be still the roof, which hopefully, like Andrew said, you can probably get something that can repair the roof. Clearly, when you get in the bandstand, you see that one side where the paint's hanging, falling off to the bare wood. It only lets go of the wood if the wood gets wet, and that's what makes the paint release that way. Otherwise, you'd have some normal peeling. When you see that wholesale falling off, like in that
That's
one side.
moisture just pushing it
That's
right
moisture
out.
coming right through the board gets wet, and the paint loses the grip. And the paint's just heavy enough with that many layers that it pulls itself down. If we find whatever's leaking in the roof and it's something that's repairable, as he's noted, it's a metal roof, and often those are just painted with a special roof paint, it may just be overdue for a good coat of the metal roof paint, which might seal it up and stop that. So it might not be a matter of spending a lot of money in the roof at all, just, you know, still, if someone repaints a roof, I would still expect it'll cost a couple $1,000s. That's an expensive, usually metal fortified paint. It's got metal flake in it, or metal dust in it, so it's a heavy paint. But it would certainly be more reasonable, once again, independent contractor can come do it, they don't have to pay prevailing wages. Anything you take for numbers as a contractor and you won't get to pay prevailing wages means you're now paying your workers $40 an hour. It's gonna cost you $60, and the average worker's gonna work half the speed because they wanna make that job last. And it literally triples the price of any project, so if we keep going this pursuit, I think we'll be able to get this thing in really good shape.
The next thing I think to help with the moisture will be the bulkhead.
Mhm.
The roof, then the bulkhead, and those, doing the deck, the roof, and the bulkhead is really the key to keeping the moisture out of the basement.
Yeah.
Because we had already had to replace our electric panel because the moisture burned it all out. We did that before you arrived, when Heather was running the administrator's position.
Well, it's making sure all those conduits going through the structure are properly sealed. Because that's a direct route to electrical, is it's following the conduits back here.
The exterior wall penetrations.
Right,
The
and-
deck itself, if there's anything coming up, should
And
get
the
sealed when he does it.
Best thing maybe the mason looks at when he's there, instead of putting caulking around those, would be hydraulic cement, because when you put in
Doesn't
hydraulic
shrink.
cement, it expands when it hardens instead of shrinking, so that actually makes a tighter seal. It would be a better way to close off those holes. If not, we can do that ourselves as well. It's pretty inexpensive. You can make it like a putty, pack it in, and when it hardens, it pushes tight and it's done. But it's coming,
Moving along.
All right.
coming along.
Well, thank you also for your work on the railings, and Andrew working to, again,
Once it's done. I'll be happy when it's done.
pieces done as you can, you know, it's.
I think it's a better way.
We've
Trying
got
to
a
do the whole
challenge,
project
but
is
we're
gonna
making
boost
progress,
us.
and I appreciate the effort you guys have been putting in on that. It helps the town a lot.
This weekend I should get some time to work on it. We'll see how ambitious I am at night when I get home. But it's not a huge piece, it's, you know, not that.
I'll admit, I'm not gonna sit here and say, why isn't it done yet? You know, I appreciate you doing it.
Well,
There's
we
a
get to
certain
the point-
point where you
Yeah.
can't
Well,
complain about someone saying, hey, I can do
what I
that, and I'm
noticed-
not charging you an
when I-
arm and a leg,
when I
or I'm not
separated it-
charging you at all.
When I separated the whole railing from the side, and I got to the top rail to the lattice work that it makes up the actual railing itself, the fence, the top rail is actually mortise and tenon into it, into
Oh,
those.
what?
Yes.
Oh, so that's
don't
not
know-
an easy just.
I don't know
pull
if
a
that's the
screw.
case on these handrails on the side or not, but if it's not, I'll at least dowel them and pin them to make sure they do stay put.
Gotcha.
Because I see on the left side, there's a couple pieces that have come out that are loose, and they're just nailed in. And that's the only option now that they're out. You can't pull it all apart just to put it in.
Yeah.
But if I have this and I have the opportunity to dismantle the whole thing and reassemble it from scratch, I'll replace any bad pieces, and I'll make sure I can at least dowel everything that I put together and stack it so they shouldn't move again, even if they spin in the future. But
All right.
fun
Well,
little,
thank
fun
you.
little project.
It is though, when you have the time.
Yeah.
It's when you're trying to force it into the time you
That's
don't
why I don't
have,
want to.
that all of a sudden it becomes a headache instead of fun.
It's probably going to dump 30 or 40 hours into that railing to get that railing up to where it needs to be to make the pieces, but it'll be fun.
So when people
I'll
ask why
enjoy
it was costing so much, it's because it takes time. It's,
Yeah.
and time
This-
these days
this
is
won't
more
cost
than the
anything.
material.
This won't cost anything. This is
So,
my time.
personally, I don't have much on a selectmen's thing to update, other than I do have some things I know I need to follow up with a few constituents that I said I would. I'll just take the moment to apologize for the lack of follow-up personally that I should have been providing. I do intend to follow up with at least 2 of them this week, and hopefully I can start scheduling some things that we have been talking about. But they're right, and I hadn't been following up the way I should have. I can't justify it. I mean, there are reasons, but that doesn't necessarily justify it, and I'll leave it at that. I will continue to try to do better with that.
We still work full-time jobs. And
Things do come up, but that
Things do
doesn't
come up.
mean
I know
I
it.
couldn't have at least made a phone call, and I'll
Some
take
comment
that
back, yep.
and accept that for the truth that it is, and try to do better. Other than that, we got a letter from the Department of Public Utilities. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but if anybody's curious, there's a standard notice of filing, public hearing, and procedural conference regarding the energy incentive or energy efficiency programs that DPU and National Grid have come to agreements on. So the Department of Public Utilities is having this public hearing, and they specifically called out it being regarding National Grid and their efficiency program. The hearing will take place Wednesday, October 30th, 2019 at 2 p.m. at the department's office on 1 South Station, 5th floor, Boston, Massachusetts, 02110. Any person who desires to comment may do so at the time and place noted above, or submit written comments to the department no later than close of business at 5 p.m. on October 30th, 2019. Any person who desires to participate in the evidentiary phase of this proceeding must file a written petition for leave to intervene with the department no later than the close of business October 21st, 2019. The rest of this, if you want, grab a copy from the administrator's office for all the details. There's more in it, but as I said, I'm not reading the whole letter, but I do want people to know that you have notice to participate if you choose, and you have about 2 weeks to make certain actions depending on the level of participation you want to make. So if you have any questions, please contact Andrew Golis in the town administrator's office, and they can give you a copy of that letter as needed, so you can follow through at your own time and effort.
Let's do that, just to
Okay.
see.
Yes, sir, Sam.
Is the town of Barry sending anybody from any of the committees to this meeting? Maybe it's important for, I don't know, maybe one of the selectmen are going to go. I don't know, but if they thought enough to send it to the town, maybe the town needs to send a representative. We have, we have conservation, we have planning, we have Board of Health, we have other committees, and maybe these people can avail themselves and report back to the town. Otherwise, we won't know what's going on.
It's a good question. I actually have just realized that notification myself today, so I haven't had a chance to talk to Andrew about it. Maybe it would be a good recommendation for you to send that to department heads and board and committee chairs to share with them more specifically, the Energy Advisory Board, if we have anybody still on that. And then people that probably deal more with the facilities, because they might be able to give you input on. Obviously, you spearhead most of our energy efficiency programs, so you probably are the one in town more attuned to it that's on any of our boards or commissions, but no reason not to share it with others, and if they want to participate, fine. This
I haven't had a
is,
chance to read into it, just got it this afternoon, so.
well, that's what I mean, we just got it this afternoon, which gives us a 14-day notice to the minimum 21, October 21st, if you want to intervene and participate in the evidence process. I know personally, I don't have the time, and I don't currently have a reason to go, because it's more about, do we believe that the program is working, or do we believe that the program needs to be changed, adjusted, or fixed? And I happen to, in my full-time job, work a lot with National Grid's efficiency programs. And I'm currently not in a situation where I think there's a lot of problems with the program they have at the moment. I know there's a lot of questions about funding, and there's much bigger picture about this. But I don't see the town of Barry in this 14-day notice being able to create enough justification to to participate in this. I mean, other than just going and listening, fine, but I don't know if we have anything to go and say, we think this should change, or we think this could make it better. Did I read it right? That's something like they do every 3 years, they review the program, so the next time will be another 3 years down the road. This is probably where they talk about tailoring and adjusting either the way it's funded or the way it's, which programs they're putting the money into. I know solar incentives do not fall under the energy efficiency incentives when it comes to how it's funded. They created a whole separate funding stream for solar. If you look, you'll see it in your electric bill. Like a little, I don't know, is it a 5% solar line item or something? If you read it, it specifically calls out solar. And that's a charge that's designed to create all of the incentive and rebate programs National Grid has had for solar. There may be a separate line that also calls out just generic efficiencies. I'd have to look at the utility bill again. I haven't done it recently.
I think the
But
most glaring one is probably the fact that they had the higher tariff rate on street lights. If the town wanted National Grid to swap them out.
that's
versus buying
one
them
thing,
out.
and it's a fine line whether it falls into here or not.
Right.
But I do believe it's something we should draft up. A lot of our towns, if we want to upgrade to new LEDs, but we cannot buy the fixture and maintain it for the future. We just want to upgrade. If I'm correct, they don't allow you to buy the fixture and install it. They force you to lease it. And then they add the actual electric on top of it. So you've got now a fixture lease and an electrical usage charge, and the combined total maintains almost the same revenue for National Grid as if you were using the old halogen and using just as much electricity. But we still have to front the labor to replace them all. So on top of that, we have to do National Grid can charge us to go out and replace them, and then charge us for the rent, the lease fee, as well as the electric. So it's not a cost incentive for a town of our size to do that. If I'm right, and I believe I am.
I think it's actually the town contracts with a third-party vendor, but I don't think that it's the actual lease cost. I think it's more of like the town buys the rights to the remaining lights that are there, basically then pays the money to convert them, but then has to get into a service agreement with somebody who's then going to be then that third party.
We went through this about a year ago,
Yeah.
pretty thoroughly, and that was,
Right.
that's what we bottom line, we determined it just wasn't worth it.
And what I'm trying to say is I believe we should be able to petition the Department of Public Utilities to offer a new program, and the program is this. You go to your utility company, they give you a fair and reasonable rate to purchase a new fixture and have National Grid, or they can subcontract someone to replace all the fixtures with that replacement. And now you're just dealing with the electric because you bought the fixture up front. Now, that can be on a payment plan, or we can do it in our own bonding process. But by doing that, now you're just dealing with the
Electric.
tariff rate based on, and if I'm correct, it's 0 to 49, 50 to 74, or 50 to 99. And that's how they break it up. So they just give you a block because it's not separately metered. They make an estimate on actual run hours and all that. So they say, this is what you're going to pay for a fixture that's 49 watts or less. This is what you're going to pay for 50 to 99. But in the program where you don't own the fixture, they have additional charges that if you could just upfront pay the cost to replace it. The truth is National Grid's cost should go greatly down. Why? Because an LED is supposed to last you almost 20 years, where halogens were about every 5 years and they had to go pay to replace the bulb and spend the labor to upgrade it. So the long-term maintenance should be greatly reduced. And that's an argument I think that not only us, but whether we work with CMRPC and talk to the other towns that have this issue, see if there's an argument to present to
I'm
DPU
surprised
to create a
nobody's-
better program for smaller towns to upgrade their streetlights.
I'm surprised nobody's come up with an LED bulb that can screw in, a fixture that can screw into that socket like they do in homes. You can buy an LED bulb to screw into an average fixture, so whatever the conversion that's done for that is within the bulb's base, and you apply it to the existing.
My understanding is the problem with that is streetlights are directional, LEDs are directional. If you put a bulb in, you have to make sure that it screws exactly to that point. If not, all of a sudden it's shooting off to the left or it's shooting up into the old housing, it's not shooting down.
The LEDs, little flat tabs too, they almost look like a piece of paper. But it could be something that's as simple as you have a fixture that screws in and then you attach the LED strip or something. I'm surprised someone
I
doesn't
know what
make
you're
it, that's what I'm
saying, can you retrofit it?
There's gotta be someone that has some sort of retrofit bulb that does that is directional.
They have shorter lifespans because the manufacturing isn't the same when you're trying to fit into an existing. Manufacturers
But the electrical
generally
costs
won't
would go up.
warranty it as long either because you are still relying on an existing. So it varies, that's my
I
experience.
just wonder if
but
they make any option for that type of fixture that we
We
could
try to
look
loop
into.
back with National Grid
It's possible
too,
though, you're right. Nowadays, technology is flying so fast.
We loop back with our governmental rep too and just see if any of those programs have changed since we talked about it 2 years ago too.
Okay.
I was under the impression that when Heather was here, that she negotiated and that all of the fixtures around the common are LEDs. Is that not correct?
The Common Upgrade Project replaced all of our high Cobra head type streetlights with the new decorative post lights. And those new post lights are LED. But what they are is they're fed by a meter box, if I'm correct. And by doing it, we own those posts, we own those lights, and we own everything else on them. National Grid, we went to and had to petition for them to turn off or disconnect all of the overhead because one, it was overlit. It was unnecessary. So you're right, Heather did approach National Grid and say, let's shut off all these lights way up high because we have found that the lights down low are providing enough light for the common. I think we did that for tests to start with, and we agreed to keep it that way when we verified that the new post lights were bright enough at night and we didn't require the overhead light. That's my memory of it, but you're right, she did do something involved with that. But it's not the same agreement or mechanism, I guess, it's not the same contractual agreement with the utility company doing it that way as it is going to every pole and how you change that out, because the poles are not metered. Once they're metered, National Grid pretty much says, after the meter, just follow electric code. we can do whatever we want, but if there is no meter, not only, if we were to do it, we have to do it according to National Grid standards, and they have, specifications and drawings that say you'll take all the wires off their tap, run it through a conduit, put in a fuse disconnect. The fuse disconnect has to be mounted a certain way, then that goes to so there's a more involved when you don't have a meter separating the two. And that's all. So when you do any of these things where you have a common or a section where you have a bulk amount of lights that you can easily just tap into a meter box and then refeed, it would be the way I would recommend any town to do it, because once that happens, you're no longer negotiating with National Grid on what you want to do, you're just making sure you can meet the code. And then you've got a lot more control over cost and effort and how you want to go about it. But it's not always consistently an option in
When you have the
smaller
common
towns.
dug up, laying conduits and running wires for new pipes underground, all the brand new circuit was relatively simple. To go to any other existing poles, the only way we could run wires would be pole to pole, which we'd have to leave space in the pole to do it, and they got you over a barrel.
Yeah.
They own the light, they own the pole, and they have control over what work is done on it. So they charge us to turn them off, they charge us to keep them on, they charge us even more to replace them. And that's why it would be a good discussion for that meeting.
So there you go. I have nothing more.
I would like to just formally make a motion that we approve the spending of the money for the repair of the bandstand for the cement. Just to be official before,
Yep.
before we just proceed.
So the bandstand sealing of the deck surface, the exterior deck surface,
In the stairs.
and repair to the stairs leading up came just under $10,000. I would second the motion to approve the use of those funds to accomplish that scope of work. Any further
And
discussion?
this was coming specifically from the remaining common funds?
Yep, the approved but unappropriated money that was for the
Make it
common.
clear where it's coming
Yep.
from. Approved and unappropriated to this point, so this
Yep.
is not new funds. This is funds that were intended for the common, and this certainly counts.
Yes, and this is part of the ban / bond work that the whole common was under. Therefore, the town had previously approved that allocation way back when. Any further discussion? Call for vote.
Aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Andrew, anything specific on the town administrator's report you'd like to call out, or just identify how people can find it and where to find it again?
Well, it's on the social media page, if you'd like to read it, but just a few things. So Nick, Monday the 21st, we're gonna have a brief ceremony welcoming the new engine 4 to town, having it open to the public. You guys welcome to say a few words. I know Senator Goby's gonna come down, say a few words at 6 o'clock.
Inside, outside, have we
Outside.
arranged? Okay.
Yeah. Nothing too formal, but just enough to kind of open it up to the community for them to take a look at it and see it before it's official, its first official in service.
Okay, nice.
And we're gonna tentatively go indoors if it rains?
Yeah,
Do something
yeah,
like that.
I just assume that,
I'd say,
part of it would
just
be-
wanna make sure, that rain or shine,
Yeah.
we'll do it, and if we have to, we'll go indoors if people wanna come and.
plan for rain or shine, but the hope is that we can just do everything right there in front of the truck, so that way.
Right.
Can you check to see if, let's just block town hall off for the potential backup rain use if we need to?
Not a problem.
So if we know the weather's coming and it's not like a last minute change, we can just plan on doing something up front there and then,
Sounds good.
So short and sweet, no bigger ceremony, no refreshments or anything going on, or?
No, the consensus was basically to make it short and sweet.
Okay.
What was the time on that?
6 o'clock. And then with you guys having the meeting with the fire department or with appointing the members of the committee that night, they'd be up here. They figured the truck would be out here for people to come check it out. probably till like 7:00, 7:30.
Okay. Sounds good.
What day is that again?
Monday, October 21st
Yep.
at 6 PM.
And then the rest of it, I'll post it on the website, so.
Oh. The MVP workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something where you want more public
Yes,
input? So,
we're
yeah.
gonna definitely want some public input for that, but we'll be hosting a municipal vulnerability preparedness workshop on November 14th. That is an all-day workshop on a Thursday, going from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 at night. We'll be doing a bunch of publications on that as it gets closer, but that's gonna be right here in this building. So we'll be starting off the day with, pretty much a meeting starting in the lobby area with as many people as we can get, and then breaking off into individual workshops from there.
Okay.
I would cover one more thing.
Good.
I noticed one afternoon I was driving through town just after lunch, and I called Andrew. We have several town employees that take advantage of lunch break to go for a walk and do exercise. And I don't know where Andrew's got yet looking into it, but we ought to look into, if there's any insurance breaks or discounts, if we have any sort of fitness program with the employees of the town, and perhaps authorize time for those who wish to do an exercise, maybe half an hour every day after lunch to do exercise. I don't think everyone's gonna shut down and do it, but for those who want to and keep in shape, go for a walk or do something towards being physically fit, maybe have a policy and authorize the use either so many days a week or, back in the military, worked at Fort Devens, we had an hour 3 days a week. Probably 25% of the guys utilize it, the rest just stay and work. And those that utilize it, it saves you fitting it into your schedule. People who have kids, especially other obligations, it makes it easier for them. And a second thought to that would be perhaps a good use for the room in the basement would be a fitness room for town employees with, treadmill, bicycle, elliptical, a couple exercise equipment, so when the weather does go bad outside, those who do want to exercise can still walk or ride, or I don't know the insurance, but some sort of light weightlifting machine or exercise machine down there, but maybe take that area in the basement that we don't have anybody, fighting to use because it's damp. We keep a dehumidifier in there and make it an exercise room. Because I don't think the police have any facilities at their news station. The fire department has no facilities for working out. Even for those workers, there's nothing we offer them for workout except for allegedly we can use the high school, which I don't know anybody that ever has. The hours are restricted and how you get in is restricted. It might be something to consider for use of that room.
Okay.
And there may be insurance help with that for health insurance. There may be grant money. I don't know. But I'd like to start by thinking about some sort of policy and maybe discuss what we might think is fitting for the policy for how much time to allow people during the working week to have some time on us to work out if they're going to do it.
I like the concept. I do think it's something that maybe we should
And there may
keep
be
on an
insurance.
agenda item so we can kind of grow with it as we get some more answers and discuss it more.
So maybe you get on the agenda next time, we can discuss it and talk in more depth about it. But I'd be surprised if there's not some sort of insurance break that comes. And, the amount of time we lose, you can say we lose, if we give somebody half an hour 5 days a week or 4 days a week, you can say we're losing half an hour of work. But I really believe, myself, I enjoy going to the gym, and I enjoy most going in the morning before work at an ungodly hour, but even more productive in the day, I think I am. It helps get your, alert, gets you energized, and it gets you moving, and as you get physically fit, it's better for you. It's less sick days, and there's a whole host of things that I think that really helps with. For people that exercise regularly understand what I'm talking about, and people that don't, maybe they give it a try. Hey, if you're gonna get a half an hour to do it, why not go try do it? And maybe they'll realize those benefits. But I think it rejuvenates you and it makes you feel good, and it will increase productivity. It's certainly, when I notice three people walking in the common, they're conversing with each other, they're doing something for camaraderie, and it builds a closeness in the workplace. There's a lot of good aspects to it, so.
I like
think
the
it's,
idea.
I saw them doing that, and I didn't know anybody had that interest, and shame on me for not thinking of it before, but it should be supported. That's my
I would
last one
also
for today.
consider, especially for all those people that volunteer on our committees and boards, if we actually have a facility with some equipment,
Make
that could be
use.
something we could offer them to use as well for at least another, we can't pay you, but at least we can give you a place. If you don't have another place, you can use some of the equipment we have, or that would be, it would be nice if we can find a way to add something like that, because I do agree with Greg on that. It, not only does it help with health and in many ways productivity, it's just another way of saying, thanks for what you're doing. We recognize that we can't pay what Worcester pays. We can't pay what some of these, but we can give you this. It's
And
another
you
one
have
of those
no idea what
benefits.
participation is till you start. It may be something that we do and there's, wow, we gotta grow this because there's so much, we don't know. And I'd love it if that happened, if we had to find more space and more equipment, because it,
And then we're gonna start Berry employees against Hubbardston employees or against Hardwick
There you go.
employees for
Fitness
speed
competitions.
walking around the common or something, who knows?
Wasn't there a exercise store down by the IGA?
yes.
There is a place down there. It is a workout place.
Oh, there is? Currently?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's a small office in there where I'm actually getting my physical therapy, but the gym itself is kind of the big business. I think they're actually leasing the space to the physical therapy. They're not the same owners. But they have a lot there. I'm not so sure that would be the right thing between the town, but it probably wouldn't hurt to ask to see what their thoughts are. Because I don't want to speak for them. It's the old, if you don't ask, you don't know. And so I haven't thought to ask. So it might be worth asking them if there's anything that they could imagine would be a joint benefit between them and us or something like that.
And certainly having something as simple at least as maybe treadmills or ellipticals or things that people can do, walking or biking exercises that, if it's here in the building, it sure makes that half an hour useful half an hour.
Yeah.
Go down and get,
They don't have a lot of that type of equipment down there. So you're not going to see 4 people on bikes because they don't have 4 bikes.
no, and that's what I'm saying, that's a
They
type
have a
of-
different type of workout program that
If-
might not be what we're talking about, being able to offer someone to come and go as they please, to just, like you said, grab a half hour on a,
If you go look at a Planet Fitness, most of the people, in my opinion, that walk into there are doing a treadmill, a bike, or an elliptical. They're in there for some sort of cardio workout. They're not looking to lift weights or to, gain strength. Most, not all, but are there for some sort of aerobic exercise and cardio
Yeah.
workout.
And then we've got other people in town. You've seen it in multiple places, whether it's the listening center with yoga, or we've had different businesses do their like Saturday morning yoga, different. If anybody's interested in that concept on working with the town, that might be something that. But I do think this is just, it's a bigger picture. I know I'm throwing a lot in there, but just
Yeah, but
starting
that's
with
the
something
idea.
simple like Greg said would be a good start, and then we can just see if there are other programs where
People might be
it fits
interested in
in.
an aerobic class or a workout class. We might wind up, you find an instructor that comes for a fee we can afford, and so many days a week or once a week, we offer that for the town employees, a class where they can come participate in some sort of aerobic class.
One thing, we did,
Or
I did
yoga.
have my quarterly meeting with our wellness rep last week, and we basically kind of set out our schedule for the next year as far as programs that we're gonna offer the employees, and like one of them is right after, it's like the 3rd week in January, we'll be doing like a weekly, let's see, I'm trying to remember, what have we called it? It was like, it was basically a workout type program that we do at 12:30 each Thursday for 4 weeks straight. And then if, depending on the interest involved, we could extend that out to like 6 weeks, so.
I gotcha.
Okay, same thing, yeah. So, I will
Start in that
support,
direction,
I will
right.
support almost any policy along that lines. It's gonna get we can't do hours and hours and hours a week, but, you know, you could do a half an hour every day, or for 4 days, or 2 hours, or 1 hour in 2 days, depending what type of things they want to do. But I think we start delving into it, we'll find out what works better and what people want, and maybe have options. We don't have to be rigid. It could be one or the other, do what you want.
Yeah, and then I'm probably bringing something up you've either thought of already or is already done, but quick survey of the employees, what would be your interest, so we know what to start paying our, you know, throw out yoga and you find 3 people show up and everybody else is like, what did you do yoga for?
That was the thing is,
You know,
we
I don't know, I'm
You
just.
don't know.
We just tried doing yoga, and I think I don't know if it's the time of the year, you know, that right after summer break when you get into spring, but everybody is just so crammed for time that we really had not a lot of people sign up for it, that we weren't able to go forward with it. But yeah, last year we did more of a aerobic type program, what was it, January or February at Town Hall, but we had 6-7 people in that program. So it's kind of like you have to have the right time of day along with the right time of the year to get the right mix of people to get involved. So
Perfect. All right, so yeah, that's a good thing that we should continue to work on, and I appreciate what you've already been doing.
thanks.
But if we can find a place that we can give to that, that's more of a come as you get the time type place, that would be a good thing.
There's also the downstairs in the old town hall building. That whole downstairs is a good lot of space. And it's just random things stored down there that could be consolidated and cleaned up. So there's room if we needed to do more, do different types of things.
Anything new? We do have some audit stuff here, but I do believe this would more for the board members to review.
Yep.
And then,
That's 18 as well, so that's really kind of close out of the previous year. So we are hoping to be more timely on this year.
So this
Get-
is
get
FY
to be-
17 though.
It's 17.
Year ended June 30th, 2018.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
so we're now starting the audit for the year that was just closed back in January. We're now starting that, so we're hoping to be more timely.
With the next
With
one.
the next
'Cause
one,
That's,
so.
that's
We
what we had
improved
been
the-
talking
yeah.
about is. Okay.
What was the deadline supposed to be? Isn't it by October 1st? We're on time, aren't we?
We're on time with our submittals. It's the
Good.
third-party audits that would, as kind of like that last remaining piece, because it's less on us, it's more on.
Well, we go back 2 years ago when we started this, we weren't on time with anything. That's why I'm asking.
No.
That was the
March,
issue.
January. I think the official deadline is a November date.
For this, yeah,
The
November 30th.
Schedule A or whatever, that type of stuff to the state,
November 30th.
November 30th. So we did make, I would say, in 2 years, major strides. And a lot of credit to all those that were involved with that.
Everyone's done a very good job.
But it's a beginning, like you said, now we gotta get on top of the third-party auditor saying our expectation is that once we agree to this, you will actually show up within 30 days, do your on-site work, and then within so many days, you will actually give us the report based on those findings. And it sounds like discussions you've had with our current auditor, they understand our expectations now and are willing to work with us to try to help better that.
They're seeing that we're serious about our end on becoming better, so they're going to be, I want to say, more serious about the way they come toward us.
We had a period of time where I could understand them taking that perspective, and not saying it's right, but I also recognize why when they look at their workload, they're prioritizing the people that seem to think it mattered. And at the other,
taking
they
their
weren't
business
sure
as
we
right.
thought it mattered, and now they realize it does,
Yeah.
and we've made sure they know it.
And our financial advisor has said that, she feels confident that it's time to start getting serious about talking with about our bond rating, so it's also good.
Making
Signs are
progress,
right.
everybody.
We don't say enough probably what a good set of employees we have in town in general, for all the departments. I mean, people have pulled together. There's been a lot of changes in the way things are done, even the timesheets and things, and everyone's seemed to pull together and things are running, I think, very smoothly. No small part to Andrew, for sure. it's nice to see these things starting to level out, and, you know, it's a group effort. Everyone's doing a good job in this town, and I don't think we have any, I haven't heard of any complaints with departments or employees or anybody. I think that's a rarity. We really have a good group of people that work here in town, and we're very fortunate.
I agree with that.
Top to bottom, we definitely do.
So, thank you very much, all. Anything else? Otherwise, I do believe I would make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all, everybody, and I appreciate you coming. Thank you, Ellie.
Don't know.
Thank you, Sam.